I couldn't put back in there because
Everybody, it's 10:01 and welcome to today's regular scheduled Port Commission meeting of September the 19th. It is 10:02. Open the meeting, ask if there's anybody out there in the public. Oh, there's Miss Sue. We'll hold 1 minute while she
Don't get that.
makes her way.
Sorry.
Let's see if someone's out there wanting to reach out to us from the internet or Facebook or Zoom or one of those things that's out there. There's something out there, I know. At least the NSA, I'm sure, is listening. Yes. Okay, Miss Jody says we have nothing going, so let's move on to the consent agenda item. We have two items. Approve the minutes of August the 15th, the regular meeting, and accept Harbor Master's inspection report.
minutes.
We have a motion from Mike McGuire to accept the consent agenda, and Ms. Sue Traylor seconded it. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? No nays, motion carries. We'll go on then to the financial reports, agenda item 3. Receive financial reports, revenue fund, A through F, tariff report, accounting age report, payment report, revenue expenditure report, balance and property distribution, and profit and cash flow report. Welcome, Ms. Lang. Will you speak to us?
Sure. Okay, so you've got your tariff reports in front of you. I'll give you all a few minutes to look through those if you haven't already. And if you have any questions, I'll see if I can't help you out. If not, we can definitely get you an answer by next meeting.
Lies has been bringing in the crude, haven't they? Man.
Yeah,
You're making a lot of money.
$92 a barrel has got it flowing.
Yeah. They go up again this morning, it's up $1 yesterday.
It was like $92 a gallon every time I fill up.
Where will be? Just be patient.
Alan?
Mm, mm, mm.
If there aren't any questions, I guess we can move on to the account aging report. And as usual, we've made the notations on some of the accounts. Letting you know what our efforts are either to collect or we actually got a collection on that. And it's not reflected.
Sue, thank you for that. I just wonder if we could make ourselves a note to talk about this when we get to this item at the end of the agenda. The nautical landing marina issues.
Bring that up during Harbor Master's report because he addresses the nautical landings building
Okay.
and the marina.
There aren't any further questions on the aging report. If y'all want to move on to the payment report. And this is just a summary of just the checks that went out in the mail over the last month.
Mr. Rudelot, down there on the nautical landing boat slips, how many boats have we got using the slips?
I think we have around
30?
so
Okay,
28, something like that.
Trying to, I was noticing that it had creeped up a little bit on the electrical. To kind of balance it out and make sure we're charging enough to cover our cost on that, or hopefully at least to break even.
So we went through that here a while back. We were at the game.
A longer month or something because the numbers jumped up.
There aren't any questions on the payment report. We can move to the revenue and expense report. This is through August. We just have 1 month left in the fiscal year. And note that your revenues are exceeding your expenditures. And you've got a net a positive position with your revenues over your expenditures of $140,000 so far in the fiscal year. You do have some large projects that we had budgeted for that hadn't taken off yet, but those but still overall, just the general operations and not counting your big projects.
Closing in at the end is, well, this is not September's report, this is August.
This is August.
And-
You still have 1 more month left, but
Cash positive, pretty found.
yeah. So you all have done very well. And all the detail for the various departments are behind there. I say departments, those are your various harbors and your ports, so.
On page 41, you highlighted that 11,300.
We highlighted, there's all kinds of highlightings on here. This is
Yeah.
actually,
Part of that 140 that's left over there, that 100,000 budgeted.
mhm. Wait, on page 41,
Yes, ma'am.
we had budgeted 100,000. And there's 31,000 left. For the fiscal year, is that what you're questioning?
Current period says 11,300
Uh-huh,
and we had allocated 100,000.
yes. Year to date is 33,391. The reason why it's highlighted, this just happens to be, again, this time, this is backup that goes, that they utilize to formulate your commission snapshot report. So a lot of the items that are highlighted there are for my purposes when I'm reviewing it to make sure that all the numbers are ticked and tied and jive. So it's not highlighted necessarily for y'all's purposes. It's highlighted for me so that when I go to review and make sure that this all ties to your Port Commission snapshot report, that I can find it quickly and easily.
Yeah, I think actually that 11,000. Same number. Was the soils, the geotech.
That's helpful. Well, that's really, that's for the culvert survey,
For the.
culvert survey.
Geotech for the culvert.
And that's on page 55. You'll see that itemized under your purchase orders.
If you'd move to the balance sheet, please.
Sure. That starts on page 47. Again, we just provide you with the balance sheet just to show you the cash that y'all have in the bank right now, which is $698,643. I don't know why that has a title of property tax distributions. Rachel, can you take a note to scratch that off? I don't know why that's on there. Property tax distributions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just scratch that off. That shouldn't even be, I don't know why that's. All right, any questions on the balance sheet? You can move on to the Work Commission snapshot report, which again, this all ticks and ties back to your revenue and expenditure report, just presented in a different fashion.
Harbor Refuge is doing pretty darn good.
Yep.
Wow.
Now, remember, here in a couple of months, we're gonna transition from the old fiscal year to the new fiscal year. So you're gonna have to keep that in mind. You guys like to have 3 months of expenditure showing. And when we switch over to the new fiscal year, you're gonna sit there and try to add up the previous 2 months, and you're gonna say it doesn't add up to the fiscal year to date, and it won't. So I'm just forewarning y'all.
And you're expecting us to remember that?
Yes,
Okay.
because I won't be here.
Life's choices.
Any other questions on any of these reports?
Very good job, thank you.
Well, thank you, lady and gentlemen.
Thank you for your services, Ms. Lang. All right, then we're going to move on to agenda item number 4, receive status reports A through D, renovation of Lonical Landing, Arena Breakwater. Ms. Jody?
That's here, you want to update?
Have anything too exciting to say?
It's alive.
We're still waiting. You're still waiting on Parks and Wildlife to give us authorization to proceed to bid. Same status we've been sitting in for some time. There's a biological evaluation that we had submitted. They would not accept from an engineer, so I had to hire a biologist to send it to them.
Oh, man.
And the biologist just turned around and emailed them the same thing I'd already done. So unfortunately, we're moving, but it's going to take a while.
Is the oyster issue something to be?
No, it's endangered species and things that might be in the area.
Okay.
Well, the manatee was discovered the other day.
No, where was it at?
4 maybe?
Oh,
Yeah.
not here.
Not too far away, 50 miles. But I'm on the coast.
I knew. They have cleaner water down there, though.
We're waiting. Unfortunately. Anything that great to add. We think we're moving, but it's got to change hands between Fish and Wildlife, Parks and Wildlife a couple of times before they'll say go.
Keep hoping. 3.5 years in the making and still not there.
Well, the ones I've done is about 5.
Oh, really?
Well, all the boats will be sunk from the wave action.
I've got 2 in the process right now, and they're both in the same process as y'all, it's just drawings. So I call them out every 2 weeks.
All right, we'll move on then to agenda item B, CDP and MIT coastal resilience projects.
In your packet is a copy of the update presentation that Mark McDonald shared with me on September 13th. Regarding the project, as I reported last month, Mark McDonald had to do some redesign when Habitat Survey came back and found that there were live oysteries reflecting in some areas with the proposed layout. Alternate number 2A been selected. As a result, they have proposed alternate 3, which avoids conflict, these oysteries. They are planning to meet with the board in October and then submit the permit application in November. I wasn't able to, it was kind of short notice on this meeting we had on the 13th, so I wasn't able to get Raymond there at that time. I've since emailed that to him. And again, you know, if you guys have any questions on any of this, I will try to answer. And if you got questions that only Mark McDonald can answer, that's something up for, I think. And it answers from them and
Get us to that abridged report on page 68, please.
okay,
That's going to be the proposed shortened length.
yes. You go look back, look on page 6. You can see where the proposed layouts were conflicting with the oyster.
But we're gonna lose about 500. Well, that'll probably help us so with budgeting.
Really, that was a plus that we identified.
It's a blessing in disguise because
Because, I mean, and that was one of the things we did discuss, you know, I told him, I said, you know, are we thinking, you know, what options are we gonna have if this thing comes in? Like everything else, he said they've been keeping a close watch on this kind of stuff is not increasing in cost as much as other areas, you know, other materials and stuff, but it is increasing. So again, by shortening up the scope right there inherently, that helps us. One of the things that they mentioned, you know, if we do run into problems, because there's not a whole lot more we can shorten or reduce without, you know, significantly affecting what we're trying to do. But if you recall, when we selected alternate 2A, we put all the rock on the south side. The north side was just the oyster reef habitat protection. Well, on this, one thing that could be done is the rock on the south side could be lower. So original project had, I forget what it was, but you know, so many feet out of water. Well, since we put all the rock on the side, we were able to increase that to get increased protection. Worst case, you know, this has come in way over budget, we can go back and close that.
Or 6 feet.
And I've been harping quite a bit on the dirt that or the spoils that we pulled out of Smith Harbor on both ends of peninsula. Could you walk us through that proposed idea?
Yeah, you look on page 67 and see where the green areas are. Near Scully's, that's where those will be taken. Hang on.
Green area is going to be what, ma'am?
That's for a marsh creation. There's a, go back. If you look on page 78, that will show you the proposed routes or possible routes to get that material over into here to create that marsh. Basically, they'll be permitting these 3 access ways into that area where it can be trucked over there. He's also permitting the creation of a channel, a temporary channel on the north side of this, where if they need to if they want to do it from that side with a barge, they'd have to be able to, they'd have to construct a channel to do, but they'll permit that in case.
Can you highlight some road maintenance? We already have road erosion and the heavy trucks moving that material will create or, well, increase the damage to the roadways on both of those. Can we allocate a few dollars for road maintenance and repairs on both the peninsulas?
Yeah, I mean, we can look, clearly the one route takes it down 238 and down, Bay. The harbor, actually, the Fulton's.
Most of the harbor looks ideal. I'm just concerned about, we've got that new park, make great improvements on that park.
Yeah, I mean.
And then both the peninsulas have damage at the present time with the heavy truck traffic. We could just think about and allocate a few dollars to repair those or get them back to original or better.
Right, well, clearly, the contractor wants, tears up the road, and he's responsible for this.
Okay.
We'll be cognizant of that.
This, how far away is this now?
2 years.
Well,
It's not 3 years away.
2.
well, if, okay, you go back to, I think it's August 2025.
2025?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gives you post schedule. I mean, this is realistic, but the thing that we don't know is getting the approval from the Corps. Because they're gonna be submitting in November.
Can we start moving the dirt now that it's the dry season?
No.
No. Yeah, I'm asking.
Contractor will do that. So construction, would be this time, beginning maybe this time next year. But again, that depends on the Corps, that's,
There's the answer.
another year.
But Jody, are we looking at something like they're doing over at Point Comfort? This structure is going to be something similar to that?
I honestly haven't looked real closely what they are doing, but I know this, if you look in here, if you look back on page 82.
Page what?
82, 81 and 82. They're, back in there, that gives you a little closer view of the marsh area. But these, they're structures that are put out in the water that.
Okay, that's going to go out in the water.
Yes,
The green area you have is going to be dry land.
no, it'll be marsh.
Marsh. Okay,
It'll be,
okay,
not very, it won't be dry. They'll bring in on that soil to create.
Right.
Water depth.
Yeah. Okay.
How tall are these little oyster houses gonna be? I couldn't tell from the pictures.
As I understand it, they will stick.
It's like they're a couple of feet tall.
18 inches, 24 inches tall?
Yeah,
And see, so these are, what was explained to me, the ones that are like on page 81, these are more, they're concrete. They're, angular, structural in nature. Whereas the ones on 82, they look more natural.
right.
And so, of course, this is, public funds, we can't specify necessarily one over the other. We can say or equal. We're hoping that the design and the design parameters and the cost will come into hopefully get something that looks closer to 82, something that's kind of natural looking. This is what the oysters grow on. And then between there and the shoreline is the marsh will take off and grow.
Alex looked like you're fixing to say something.
Go ahead.
Okay, glad you mentioned oysters. I'm a little bit concerned that with us shortening this up from where we had it before, this area protected the Fisher Harbor pretty well from where we had it laid out originally. And where we're proposing to put it now, it's going to expose the Fisher Harbor. And I think we need to realize that. it's gonna expose the Fisher Harbor to the south winds. They're not gonna get any benefit in that harbor from the breakwater. We need to realize that. For what value it might be in the future, the Fisher Harbor. The other thing I want to mention is that we're creating oyster habitat here, a significant amount of it with this project. Can we not get some mitigation credit with the agencies for that little strip of oysters that we're gonna disturb when we put that if we were to put the breakwater out there?
I'm sure they will have that conversation when they meet with the Corps in October.
Well, I know it's gonna be cheaper for us, but in the long run, Fisher Harbor is a pretty good asset
I know, but
to the city.
yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. They'll have that conversation, I'm sure, with the Corps. What they were explaining to me is based on their experience trying to do that, it's just gonna it's gonna delay things. But I don't know.
I did that myself out at Alamo Beach. And it involved a conversation with National Marine Fisheries, Fish and Wildlife. They were good to go, Corps signed the permit.
They have this joint meeting and all those parties will be there, and that's what they're trying to schedule.
I just want us to be aware of what we're doing here. We're losing.
Raymond brings up a real valid point in that we're predominantly a southerly breeze, and if you look at that, it's going to create a funnel. You know, kind of like what we're facing now at Nautical Landing with the breakwater into that Fisher Harbor. So that's something to, I don't know if you straighten that curve out or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you go back and
Hydronimus or whatever those guys are.
Well, the way we had it originally, we would have protected.
Oh, yeah,
Fisher Harbor.
but you wipe out the oyster reef now. You've got to find some way to mitigate or restoration or something.
Well, yeah, and I think we have a couple of pretty good points.
yeah.
We're putting in a sizable oyster creation project up there to the north.
Well, I will mention that to Mont McDonald and make sure that that's part of the conversation with the Corps before making a final determination of what we.
I don't know if it's an equally sized footprint, but that would certainly be.
Looking down the road, guys, we're omitting a sizable piece of valuable real estate to the city of Port Lavaca. We're not eliminating it, but we're going to really make its use difficult, like we already have with Nautical Landing.
Yeah.
So
We have a lot of southerly breeze, and that is a southeast direction there all day long. Ask the people on the boats at the arena.
Absolutely.
I think city oysters will not be harvestable because we are there sitting in water that's not clean enough. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're not for, I mean, we're not creating a place for oyster boats to come. Oyster.
Well, neither is this one.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, it's a good ecosystem contributor.
Well, let me talk to them. Maybe we can get on a conference call with them.
There you go.
Before they meet with the.
There's your opportunity, Raymond. Let's go on to agenda item C, restore project.
Okay, the restore project. Yeah, I was told that we were first in line when everything opened up in September, but apparently it's not gonna open up until the end of September. When she sent me this email and said that the financial system, they were changing the financial system, I just had to laugh out loud because that's the exact same thing that was a year ago. But then she said, but yeah, that was a different financial system. That was federal financial system. Now they're doing state financial. Anyway, he says that we're first in line, but the system isn't open yet. So hopefully by this time, the next meeting, we'll have something really good.
They just don't want to turn loose of the funds is what it is. Having a party with our money.
Very
All right, let's move on to the culvert replacement project.
okay. As you recall, in April, the Port Commission made a recommendation to council to bids to replace the culvert and corporation ditch under the railway of the harbor road. In June, city council approved, urban engineering task force approved to prepare bid documents. Plans were prepared to install 2 each 96-inch polymer coated galvanized corrugated pipe. This allows for increased runoff that will come with future development. We submitted the plans for Union Pacific Railroad review in accordance with our 1971 track agreement on August 9th. Bids were opened on Wednesday, September 6th. Although we were anticipating at least 2 bids, only one was received from Western Contract. A bid tabulation is attached to your packet. The base bid of $749,850 specification that's specified by Union Pacific, which is an 8-gauge thickness and comes only from Illinois with a lead time of 10 to 12 weeks. The alternate bid number 1 is for an alternate pipe specification that meets railroad E80 loading, is less expensive and is more available with lead time of 6 weeks. We were unable to get any feedback from the railroad regarding the alternate pipe spec prior to bidding, so we bid both alternatives. Lester Contracting states that once they have the pipe, the actual work will take approximately 30 days. Our request for approval to use the alternate pipe spec has been submitted to Union Pacific Railroad Engineering. We don't anticipate a response until sometime this week. My contact with the railroad did tell me that as long as the pipe meets the required E80 loading, then it probably will be okay, but it's cost. As you recall, we do have $300,000 budgeted for the culvert work. So it's going to require additional funds from the general fund reserves to do this. Brought this to city council at the last meeting, and they voted to table it until we had some feedback from Helena. Which, as soon as we got the bids, I did let them know what it was. By council meeting, I had not heard any feedback on what they might be able to do. I have provided bid tabulation to Helena. Asked them again to let us know how they can participate financially. They have scheduled an internal meeting for this week. And city council tabled that decision, and we'll bring it up again at a special meeting next Monday to discuss. So, and just to refresh everybody's memory, I put a couple of photographs in here. Existing conditions that we're dealing with. And I hope to hear something from Helena before the end of the week, and we'll have the council on that day.
Mr. Chairman, have we, Jody, have we had a discussion with Helena? Are we inclined to have a discussion with Helena to have them pay for this and let us let them finance it and let us pay back a certain portion of it?
Particular conversation. Yeah, I mean, what I did tell them was that, whatever they were willing to put in, certainly we could come up with some kind of a contract that if at a later date, another tenant comes in and takes advantage of that rail, there would be some mechanism that new tenant.
Cost share it or something?
Right.
Well, that would,
Reimbursements.
I don't know,
But I mean,
Seems-
that's an idea I could.
and have, well, maybe we should have that discussion with Helena.
Who's talking with Helena? Are you and one of the council members talking with Helena?
We haven't had any joint meeting. I've let them know what the costs are. They have not, made a statement on what they're willing to do. Once they do that, then we'll have a meeting and anticipate there could be some back discussion.
I'm surprised that a project of this size or this monetary magnitude was not bid on by other people, Brown and Root and others that have been trying to. Were they not aware? They just ignored it? Because they are a quote unquote vendor.
I don't know about Brown and Root. I do know what you all.
I don't remember this list. We sent of course, it's advertised in the paper. But we also sent it to some contractors locally that we felt would be.
Sure.
I mean, Rexco
So
was planning on it, but.
I think they're busy. So they kind of got the,
They're-
their plate is full for right now. And we did express that we wanted to wait,
Yeah.
want to wait.
Well, even the price of the pipe was over our original total estimate.
Yeah, curious, Matt, how much did they add to the price of pipe? The bidder, and did they add their 25% in on top?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of the backfill requirements, steam watering and other things in there.
I know, but they got their price to pipe at $2,650 a linear foot. And that's about 2/3 of the bid right there, just on that. So I'm curious as to they actually what the cost of that pipe. So we went direct and bought the pipe ourselves. Would it save us a couple $100,000? We broke this out, said this, and we're gonna take care of the.
I'm not sure, because what happens when you try to do something like that, what are you gonna do with it? You got a 96-inch piece of pipe comes with one piece per.
We got places about the railroads, but I don't worry about that. I'm more worried about the cost issue.
I understand it. So I don't know, I mean, I don't get an invoice that shows the material costs, there's shipping costs associated with that they don't tell me. I get them to bid it by the. And that's installed in place, so.
Right.
In that number of the pipe, there's a significant amount of backfill.
The question at the end is called out separately, Matt. And number 8, storm sewer, 2,600 feet, $530,000. I'm questioning cost of the pipe.
And what I'm saying is that includes putting it in the
That's
ground.
installed.
That's installed price.
That's not material.
Installed with cement stabilized backfill and some material that goes above the pipe and below the separated of road. There's a significant amount of material that goes into that in addition to just the pipe. And
Well, they separately bid the foundation stone and they separately bid the rip wrap. Now, again, I'm questioning the cost of the pipe. I think that's something, if they've got a markup of 20-25%, which would probably be typical. That's a big part of the bid. And if we could extract that out of there as a city, and part of our recommendation could be to the council is to do that.
a pipe by yourself.
The pipes separately. Or, I'm looking for ways to save money. I mean, first of all, when we talked to them in April, they were talking about significantly and dramatically less. Somebody who knew what they're doing. Well, the guys who are subcontracting this on this bid, they said $250,000 all up. And we've expanded.
That's different pipe.
I understand that.
There's a big difference in price.
I understand it. But the bottom line is it a factor of 5? The cost of the pipe versus the cost of what they were talking about time? All I'm saying is to me, this smells something's wrong here. I don't know what it is.
Yes, that's what I was asking about, Brian and Ruth, a big project like that. There's a single source, looks like, on if we go with the railroad applied or qualified pipe. It might be worth our while to call. There is transportation delivery cost. How much can we shave off of this almost, 500,000 plus? Is it advantageous to the city? And as a city, do we have, a benefit to reach out to these folks in Illinois and say, hey, we need 200 foot of pipe. What can we get it for delivered?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
It'd be an interesting inquiry, and we've tabled it anyway, so let's see. Would you please? Ms. Jody?
I think the other thing is that, going back to the foundation of this project, when we were talking about $250,000, that was one project, and we're talking about 3 times that cost. All of a sudden, the economics just don't make any sense whatsoever. None. So another question that we should be talking about, do we even need this railroad? Right now, the total revenue to the city is less than $5,000 a year plus the $833 a month. So about $15,000 a year total.
The one thing we need to be conscious of is we don't want to lose it.
I agree. The question is, we're getting ready to pay $750,000
For 30-40 years.
$750,000 of
It's gonna last a really long time.
Well,
And all this cost cutting is gonna delay it. And you wanted it done yesterday and it is going to delay it.
So now it can't be used until 2024. That's when it's due. So we've got a year to get this done right now. So it's not that. The other thing is that the question I have as a citizen, I look at things like this and it blows my mind. I mean, I would be questioning every item of it. Contractor, everything. If it was my personal deal, I guarantee you, I wouldn't. I mean, this is, like I say, blow your mind. The question the council needs to answer, is it worth $750,000 to have a road? Right now, economic, it has never paid off. Never paid off. So we're maintaining an asset. I just think that needs to be made aware publicly to the council. But this, okay, this is what you're buying. You're buying, holding that railroad. It's going to cost you $700,000 or $500,000 to do that, plus the $250 to buy. So that's the only question I got is that should we even be building this? You know, you just say, okay, well, we give up because it's not being used. And literally, there's 5 or 6 loads that come through there every year. And I just looked at the numbers. There was about $4,500 worth of tariffs, plus the $10,000 a year for the use of the railroad.
But if you project into the future.
I'm not going to project in the future. I'm sorry, I'm beyond that.
Roads are gonna be, but you live close to it as well. And so to me, I think the point is this good for the industry we have there? Yes. Is it good for possible future things? Yes. Is it more expensive than it wanted to be? Yes. But is it something we're gonna have to do every year? No. And so it's a major investment.
It is a long-term return on investment.
Yes.
The
knows what-
on that thing is what, 50 years?
Yeah.
Well, right now,
So we're gonna fall short, okay?
Yeah.
We're gonna fall short, no question about it. But it does provide an added amenity to the future growth of the Harbor of
It does.
Refuge.
Does as a port, and y'all see what the revenue is for the Harbor of Refuge. Okay,
the
it's
total revenue that Helen pays us a year is around $50,000 a year.
Yeah, but
Total.
I'm talking about the port in general. And
We're not getting it.
its value and its potential. If this deepening and widening goes, we're gonna have people, I think, knocking at our door.
I think the only thing is that we are wildly beyond the cost that we estimated.
Yes.
Wildly beyond
That's part I-
we're wildly beyond the understanding. And if, and I just think that it needs to be opened up for discussion.
But what if,
And the thing about it is, it's been in place 50 years. And, the port was put in here 50 years ago, from 1970, 71.
Yeah.
And, since that time, we've had one significant tenant and plus the oil, which has been up and down.
right,
So I don't know. I just sit there and then say, should we be doing this as a city?
well, I think,
And we also are bringing material, which goes back to the original, across railroad, across the entire city, which is dangerous at best. As a chemical engineer, I wouldn't be extraordinarily unhappy to see that stuff fall off and break one of those things. It would be
I totally agree. That's an operational issue. What if we do 2 things? We're not urgently we know we're hamstrung for a while because city council's tabled this. So why don't we take this time? Let's find out the details of the pricing for the pipe. What can we do? We were doing this our own selves in our own backyard. What would we be doing to try to get the price down? And I'm with Mike there. Let's try to find a cheaper way of doing this.
Well, they meet this coming Monday.
well, they don't have to approve it.
Well, that doesn't matter. We need to do it right and for the best interest of Port Lavaca. The other thing we need to keep in the back of our mind, again, just like Fisher Harbor, let's look down the road. We don't know what's coming and what may happen here. But chances are this area is getting ready for an economic boom when that channel goes. So let's don't lose that railroad.
And James O'Neill said once you take it out.
I know. So if we don't maintain this,
But the city council needs to understand that. It's $750,000 to maintain that railroad here.
Yes, Mike has 2 points he's bringing up. Number one is the difference between the original, we had several people offering $250. And they disappeared Now we're sitting at seven.
They weren't firm bids, those were estimates.
Well, but bottom line is that.
Worlds apart, you know, we had the pipe at 150, 200,000.
Right.
Now we have the.
Which was wrong.
Set amount.
Right now, we know the pipes.
Well, everything is incrementally expended,
What do you call it, increase in price?
But it was a credible source. The guys who's the sub on this contract is the one who told us the number in April. And he was sitting right there and discussed what would be done. The replacement was 2 pipes. And that's just what he said. He said, obviously, but he said he could have gotten on it in 3 months. You know, but obviously we expanded the contract and expanded the engineering to, and all I'm saying, we just need to understand, this is an investment. Is this compared to other things the city is doing? I don't know. I mean, that's the city council's call.
Well, it's definitely a calculated risk. It's a long-term investment, which I agree with Raymond that when you look at the economics that are driving this entire corridor, you don't see that the economics are going to be in a downward trend. They're going to be in an upward trend, especially with the Dow Lakes Energy, especially with the rare minerals and stuff. So it means that whatever we invest in improving that asset, the reward associated with it will go up exponentially because it will make the port, that asset that we're making investment in, more valuable. It will make it and it actually will position us better than some of our competitors out there. Now, when we look at just the economics associated with the pricing index on this thing, okay, and you try to break it out. I mean, one of the things that we have to understand is that we're a municipality. You know, we'd like to save money, but when it comes to economics, when it comes to vendors bidding on projects, we have to compete with the Dows. We have to compete with the Formosas. We have to, that's just basic economics. Is a vendor, whether it's Rexco or Lester, is not going to come in and give us a discount because they're in the business to make a profit. And if Formosa will pay them this much money to do something for them, they expect it from anybody they do business for. You know, and that's just the nature of basic economics 101. This price will never get any cheaper. It will continue to go up. Especially in the area that we're in, because in this area, it's hard to get contractors in, whether it's a commercial project or a personal project. Okay. So, and if we were to break the pipe, the piping costs out of it, this vendor will come back just like any other vendor. Say, okay, well, part of in that cost is the installation. Well, now we'll break out everything. We'll break out what it's going to cost to get my people over there to pick up that pipe and transport it to the site, you know, and all those other things. So, you know, I don't like to cost anybody more than the rest of us, but I don't see it going down.
No, and we're saying 700,000, very possibly at 600. So
I will promise you though, if you were doing it yourself, you'd be digging everywhere you could to cut the cost.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying we don't.
The city does not do that as a matter of practice.
Well, so I'm saying I'm not pushing back against, let's find out what the cost of pipe is to see if there is a significant markup. But then again, even if there is, we're still going to be hamstrung by the fact that if nobody bids on it, nobody bids on it. You know, and unfortunately, with contractors, again, in all industries, is that we're at the mercy of contractors. You know, at the end of the day, the city doesn't have the resources to install it itself. You're going to have a Lester, a Rexco, a PMI, some civil contractor out there going to install it. And unfortunately, in the marketplace, again, and it's in the insurance industry, we're getting hit with it hard right now. Everybody's seen the renewals. Is that contractors get together and they say, Raymond, what are you charging per square foot? You know, Larry, what are you charging? I'm going to be right there in the mix of that stuff. So our ability to negotiate prices is diminished right now in the economy, and it's just unfortunately the way it is right now. So, but Mike, I agree. Just do our due diligence. Let's find some costs. Let's look at it. I don't think that at the end of the day, it's going to change the overall outcome.
Well, we have an obligation to city council to do this.
I agree.
And we have an obligation to make sure that anything we recommend comes in with a considered effort. And we have not, you know, we're getting ready. If we would take this 750 and say trade it for bulkheading on the South Shore, I might consider that. bulkheading is worth far more to a potential client than the railroad is. The railroad is obviously a future. But I guarantee if we were to put in bulkhead,
It's a present too, because Helena.
but it's not worth anything for them or to us. There's no money in it.
Well, and they have a discussion is we don't know if Lana will contribute.
Yeah.
We know what all.
Well, we can also make that a condition, which is probably what I would recommend. We make a condition, you either contribute or else, you know, we're not gonna allow you to just stand there. When we did this on the, you will recollect, we spent $250,000 on the bulkhead. And they contributed about 500. By lease, they were required to replace that bulkhead. We forgave them that. By lease, in their lease, they signed 30 years ago, 20 years ago. So I just say that, okay, Helena, you know, this is something that's required. You want to be, you know, have railroad service, you need to contribute. And I was curious as to who on the council is going with you. You have somebody assign you. Jody, my understanding is council has told us to negotiate.
Yeah.
You negotiate.
Well, one of the things, and you mentioned, you know, we are a municipality, and that was one of the reasons we put an MCI cost in all our leases. Okay, because we're trying to play catch up, and we just have to have council agree with us on these escalating costs. We can recover some of our costs. I think we're being too empathetic and too sympathetic to the industry at our cost and the citizens' cost. We're subsidizing the industries. Now, we have an MCI in place, why don't we use it? Oh, well, you know. But that's Mike's valid points. We've spoken to Mike and Jody. Another comment, otherwise we need to move on.
We need to take any action here.
I mean, they will bring it up again Monday night, we will, you know. I mean, council shared the concern and that's why they tabled them. I don't know that they may decide not to move forward at all. If the land says they're not gonna participate.
All I'm asking is, does the port commission want to express their opinion on how to move forward?
I mean.
In our opinion.
They can,
I don't think we can add much more than the cost of the pipe. And the other thing would, you know, stomp our little feet and have it rebid, try to get more people. I was surprised Brown and Root wasn't at the table.
I think that's what.
I was surprised at some of the bigger people, you know, $750,000 project. But then you say you reached out to everybody, Matt?
No, it's always advertised in the paper and I reached out to some local people. The other side of it is unfortunately 3/4 of the million is not a very.
Because they're all so busy, they don't care about it.
The other thing is, you said it was urgent.
Right now.
It had to be done right now.
$4 million is not a big project for them right now, you know.
Yeah. Contractors, they told me they won't show up for less than 5 million and I've had a plant contractor tell me he didn't show up for less than 25 or 50. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
Crazy.
I mean, once again, somehow or another, the urgency has been lost. In other words, we were urgent. We had to get this done. We had a special meeting and had to get this done.
We dropped the ball.
Now, saying it's not urgent.
The engineering delays.
Yeah.
And once it's delayed, we can't make the November timeframe.
But
We have a year.
but if we approve, if the project was approved,
Motion, I think Matt and Jody both understand what needs to
I
happen.
would like to make sure that the council understands where we stand on this. And
I don't think we stand in the same place.
that's okay. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, and if your recommendation is not to move forward at all unless, you know, Helena participates somehow, or if, you know, I don't know, if you need a joint meeting some Monday night. I mean, I'm at a loss because I still haven't heard back from them. Or as soon as I hear back from them, you know, I'll let you guys know as I want to let council know what their response is. And then, yes, Alan, Tippett, and I can negotiate with them as appropriate once we hear back.
I'm sure Helena understands that they, if they don't move forward on this, they will lose the railroad. They will hamstring their business.
They know that it's gonna.
Now, there is a degree of urgency.
They have an alternative, but it costs more money, so they have to figure out.
Truck alternative.
At what point.
A good one.
It's a truck alternative, Jody, and that means you talk about trucks from here to Main Street.
Not a good one. Not a good alternative.
They would have to come to Corpus, right? And so, I mean, that's what they're looking at.
So we're of the opinion, we're just gonna let council meet and see what happens.
I agree.
I mean, Ms. Bill, do you want to give any?
Well, personally, I will talk to my council person. There you go. And tell them, here's what I think.
Here, I mean, they wanted to make sure that it was on the agenda, that you were aware, and I said, yes, we'll be talking about, okay.
I think
We're
that
making record.
personally, I think the cost is the cost. I agree with Robert. I don't think it's gonna get a lot cheaper, might get a little cheaper. But ain't gonna be 300,000. And it's something that needs to be done for the future of the port, of the harbor refuge, and it'll look cheap 5 years from now.
We drug our feet and got bit, so let's move forward. Agenda item number 5. Status, receive status report on special projects. Agenda item A, status report regarding voluntary restoration project Harbor Refuge.
Okay, let's see. We reported last week that TCQ did approve the plan, which was prepared earlier this year by Urban Engineering to construct the voluntary restoration of the shoreline along the east side of the Harbor Refuge site, which had previously disturbed tenant. The attached draft opinion of probable cost for the project shows a cost of about $426,000. Staff has proposed that we apply to GLO to use part of our $9.1 million allocation to CDBG MIT dollars to fund this project. We recently went out for engineering RFQs to select an engineer for this project. Selection committee comprised of myself, Public Works Director Wayne Schaefer, and Harbor Master Jim Lulott, reviewed and scored 7 SOQs received. Committee scored urban engineering the highest for this experience category of being shoreline erosion protection and restoration, including coordination with solid waste. City Council approved resolution Monday night to select urban engineering from this RFQ solicitation. We're working with grant administrator KSBR on this application, which is to be 20th. So in your packet is an opinion of the probable cost, general location map, and the restoration exhibit. Again, we're looking to use CDBG MIT funds to fund this. And on that note, just as a sidebar here, back on the culvert project, if in fact, Elena doesn't want to participate and council decides not to do it unless they do or whatever, we could look at applying to fund that through CDBG MIT. We did not look at that originally because the time. I mean, we're looking at years delay at least, to use those funds. But if the council's making the decision, we're just not going to do it, then my proposal will be, well, let's go ahead and apply using MIT funds and hopefully can get it done, or EDA grant or something to get it done. But again, the urgency is out the window on that because we'd be looking a year more before anything is done. This is a side note. Anyway, so that's where we're at with the shoreline restoration project.
All right, move on then to agenda item B.
The CRG limited environmental site assessment. We received the attached letter from these note in the 4th paragraph, which states that ERRP standard B industrial has been attained and no post-response action here is required. DCQ is requiring that we establish institutional control of the site. In other words, memorialize the commercial industrial designation of the B. They do not want any residential in all these steps. I've attached a draft environmental deed notice prepared by CRG that will cover the 74 acres described in land closure document. And in fact, CRG, right before the meeting, they sent me some draft, they sent me the final one for execution. That's where we're at. That project will be closed That limited phase two would be voted to you, and we would be establishing that that land is for commercial industrial.
And that 74 acres, we had a drawing of it or a schematic some time back, and it includes the harbor of refuge and
Yes.
the remediated areas. I mean, it was way out there.
The 70 acres was not, didn't have, I mean, but it did not include what we're leasing around the refuge. It's landfill was, and then all of the wetlands areas to the south.
Can you indicate on this picture right here for us?
And I can find that and email it to you, but I think the 74 acres was like all this.
Cow, that's the whole place.
That's what I was,
That's everything.
yeah,
Yes.
that's what I was concerned
It's not
about.
up here, but it's all this.
Yeah. That's what I was concerned about, to make a blanket. And we'll play whatever, trying to unwind that once we do that.
You know, we could push back and say we only want to do it, you know, on this
The
area
industrial
technically
Commercial site.
that, it's just, yeah, well,
Well, does it include the gun range?
I was,
Yeah.
yes.
now see, I'm thinking leave out, that's what I'm thinking. Leave out the gun range and simply the part that we lease, the industrial, the one,
Beyond,
the wetland.
you see where it's marked on there? It extends.
And we've got two choices. We either have the whole 74, or we only do track 16, 17, and 17AR.
There you go.
Okay, which we can do that.
Yeah.
And that was my question, and John's recommendation was to go ahead and do this.
It's easier, but that's not for the benefit of the city.
Okay, we can.
Yeah, ultimately, there will be condos built down there. I'll promise you, that land, you go and look at it. There's no land for condos
I'm not making
available.
any promises, but I don't want a
But we
blanket
can-
stamp on the whole thing.
Okay, you want an investor to come look at it? I can bring you an investor to look at it. I guarantee you, but we have to mess with the.
But it would be, it'd be about right in here.
Yeah, I sure want to look at it.
16, 17.
It's all that stuff. Right, this is where this started.
Can y'all see this? Put on your magnifying glasses.
Yeah.
This frontage right here is extremely beneficial to the city.
For residential?
No,
No,
No, well,
that's the
that's,
barge channel.
well, that's what I'm
It's
saying.
12 foot deep.
Exactly.
It's gonna be maritime traffic commerce that comes in here.
Well, that's what we're saying. All
So
we're
if we could
saying is
do-
we're not allowing residential.
Oh, yeah.
But again, we can't, it's either or. I can't take
Okay.
anything less than that 74 acres because again, the 74 acres, anything to put any residential in that 74 acres is going to take a big deal with TCQ. So, but if we want to push that off to the future, we
That's
just limit it to the.
my
16, 17.
recommendation.
Okay.
That we
I'll
push it
go
off.
back.
Do we need, yeah, do we need a motion or
before we do it, let me.
16, 17, and 17A?
Let's read what the deed says they suggested. They said you cannot use it for anything except commercial, industrial land use.
No, that is what you are using it.
I'm saying this, if we do decide to use it for residential, we just have to notify them, at which point they will decide what else we need to do. You know, I don't think it's as serious as we're talking about. I just says here, it says if he desires to use for residential, must be notified at least 60 days in advance, or the property may be used for residential purposes.
Yeah, I mean, we're putting a restriction on it. I mean, you're right, that doesn't mean that it can't be gotten out of, there's a procedure. But this is a requirement to close this project is that we put this deed restriction on the property.
Let's put the deed restriction on the property that we have been arguing or protecting from TECQ, which is 16, 17, and 17A.
I mean, we did the entire site, recall, but if I'm not mistaken, how we got to where we are with this particular one originated in our environmental site assessment for 16, 17, and 17 AR. I think we can limit it to just that if we want to. So let me get back with John and ask that question. And if it does not work, then I'll report next month.
Let me ask one more question. Is this the actual language that's going to be used, Jody,
This
that they have proposed?
Hang on, this was the draft. I don't think anything changed. I just got that, in fact, right before the meeting.
Okay, the only question I have is that the only thing that's changed is that the limitation, you've got to notify them 60 days. As long as that's in there, that's okay, because we decide we want to use it residential, have a good use for residential, we have a way of protecting it. Got to notify them and they've got to agree. If that's all that's in here, then we're probably okay.
If we don't include it, then we don't have.
Yeah, now that's only on the stuff up there north near the barge entrances.
Mike, which paragraph is it? still?
Last paragraph.
Last paragraph, okay. It, that starts.
Is it the Carmen?
Determine that.
That's it.
Okay. DCQ has determined that affected property currently meets TRRP Remedy B standards for commercial industrial use. Based upon the reports, chemicals of concern pose no significant present or future risk to humans or the environment based upon commercial industrial land use. And further remediation of the affected property is required by TCQ as long as the affected property is not to be used for residential purposes. This property may not be protected for residential use. If any person desires in the future to use the affected property for residential purposes, TCQ must be notified at least 60 days in advance. Such use and additional response actions may be necessary.
Maybe, yeah.
For the, which, yeah, and that's gonna be there regardless because it is part of our closure.
They continue to use the word,
Even,
yeah,
yeah,
but they're saying affected property, which is 16, 17, and 17A. Why encumber the entire 78?
and some of the conversations that they have, because remember, we did the one phase one with 16, 17, 17A, then we did another one, the whole site. And so I'm not sure, maybe it just they kind of morphed into the whole site. Bottom line, I'm with Mike. I don't think it hurts us to just apply this to the whole site, but I will ask that question. Again, before we do anything residential in that 2 acres, we have to go through that exercise because that is our closure. Our landfill closure is 7 acres, whether we like it or not.
As long as we can exclude the gun side. And that we're gonna be okay. And the other is not too difficult, I think, to deal with. I think, you just don't want to block that permanently.
That's what I'm saying. It's the affected property.
Yeah, just use the 16, 17,
17, 17, and 17A.
17A, yes, please get them to do that.
I will do that.
Wish for that.
As long as we use this language too, this is,
Yeah, no, this is the language.
okay, that's because we can live with that.
All right.
Terrible.
Now I've lost my place, y'all.
We'll see, I think.
Sorry, we're all confused.
Bottom of the thing.
5C, discuss proposal, submittal of proposal of Matagorda Bay Mitigation Trust in response to request for proposal.
Okay, in your packet, see a little exhibit. The Matagorda Bay Mitigation Trust has opened requests for proposals this year. They're due on October 16th. And so I've been asking around. I talked to RJ Shelley. Jim and I talked about it. With an idea, a concept idea for a project to apply for these grant dollars for. Also trying to make like maybe a first step towards implementing our water master plan. So the project that we have identified, and again, we're still talking, it's not due till October 16th, is to make some enhancements down there at Fort Boyd State area. So the proposal would be to go in here and put a bulkhead You can see it, there's a small red line that indicates the bulkhead. In front of Poor Boy down to the corner. This to scale right now is 220 feet, so approximately that. I talked to Lencho and he told me he was looking at approaching us anyway at some time in this coming year. He wants to purchase a new portable building that would be a little bit bigger and then to replace his existing one. So we talked that if in fact, you know, he were to do that, he could purchase a new building, move it about 50 feet to the east here, and he'd have to, you know, remove and relocate the shelter over where his bait tanks are. But that can be moved out of the way, again, allowing us to get in there and get a bulkhead. Part of the project would include 8 or 10 feet of walk behind that bulkway for the public. The orange would be, the large orange area would be a deck for fishing, crabbing, and provide 4 transient boat spaces. These would be, you know, for public boat spaces, for recreational boats. They could come in, stop, get off, go to the bait, park, go up to Tipsy Bean, park, you know, go walk, enjoy the bayfront park area, that sort of thing. There would be educational signs around to inform the public about, you know, shrimping, crabbing, fishing. The deck would be there to where people could get a close view of a working shrimp boat. You know, school kids, again, just general public who come down and get a close-up view of the activity, waterfront, having to do with fishing, shrimping, crabbing. And then do the first leg of continuing our 10-foot wide multi-use path or shared use path from where it ends at Bayfront Park through and along the parking lot behind Uncle Landings, tie into this. Other ideas that we're looking at is there's 2 storm sewer discharge locations that discharge storm sewer from city into Nautical Springs Marina. And we're looking at getting litter catchers, basically. There's a couple different styles, but get some sort of a litter catcher to capture any debris that comes down the storm sewer pipe and capture that before it goes out into the bay. So whether we would try to fit that in with this grant application, or it is being included in some grant projects that we are currently working on with Clean Coast, Texas, and the local marine agent. But we could state that, you know, with this walkway, then people would have, you know, access to see these pictures, see the debris coming out. Again, education on marine pollution, do the boat assessment. And then, you know, as far as any match, we have been talking about, you know, and budgeting some funds right now, it's in next year's budget, to make improvements to the parking lot behind the landings. So some of the match funds the city could contribute would be, you know, our plans for this parking lot. Other ideas, I mean, in this parking lot, we would have some areas that are landscaped, working with Clean Coast, Texas to come up with ways to you maybe drain to some of these areas, and then that area would filter out contaminants in the stormwater before it's discharged into the bay. Anyway, so this is again just concept. second page is taken from our water pump master plan, which, you know, there's nothing specific, you know, any specific projects identified here, but what we would be doing here is not inconsistent with what is being shown long range for the water master. Looking for any comments, ideas on this. And they're, what they're looking for in this grant is, or the area we're targeting is increased public access and education to the waterfront.
Go for it.
No question.
While we're at it, can we extend that bulkhead to at least go maybe around here?
Yeah, I don't think we got enough money, but,
Or we're going to pay for all this?
no, I mean, but I don't think.
Oh, they're not gonna have enough money.
In the grant application. Now, we might. It's just, well, yeah, if we can fit it in, because it's a trade-off. Again, we have to have, in order for it to look attractive to the grant, to make sure we're optimally, you know, able to show that this is benefiting the community and as far as public access to the water. Clearly, the decks and the transient boat slips, I think that's an easy argument. What we can do, the argument we can make is we could have a third shrimp boat space and then continue that walkway. If we can fit that in the budget, still kind of.
I think we can spend it all.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I know, but I mean, we're gonna have some match funds here too. But that, I was kind of just stopping it there, but the plans would be, again, and I didn't want to go, honestly, didn't want to go too far up in here because once we get in there and remove all that spoils for, you know, the marshland, then we'll be able to start doing some real improvements up here. And so, that's kind of where my thought was, just the minimum necessary, I guess, for poor boys would be if he moves down 50 feet, put the shrimp boat right in front of him like he has now, but his extra one is behind him, where the people, you know, the public can see all that as they're going up to Poor Boys. They don't have to go around Poor Boys to see that. But that's not to say in the future, when we make the improvements to all this area behind here, that might include additional bulkhead at that time.
Go forth and find us some money.
I agree.
Okay. Thank you.
You intend to put concrete down on the parking lot, you know that at this point in time?
Concrete?
Yeah.
No, that would be asked.
Trying to keep the roads maintained, remember?
In fact, I mean, it's gonna be asked, in fact,
Oh, the asphalt then.
there will be areas of it, whenever we do this, there will be areas of it that are impervious. Pervious. I'm working with the Lake Coast, Texas people, and that, some of that would be pervious places.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 6 as receive Harbor Masters operation promotion development of activities A through E. Start with City Harbor, Jim.
Yes, sir. So Ames Company will be in tomorrow to run those. They're supposed to call me in the morning. Nautical Lane building, the electrical upgrades. That whole project is just with the exception of Frontiers and Spark Lights boxes where they come in right there.
All that had to be removed.
Well, no, we're gonna put it up high. So Derek's been working, he's been talking to Frontier.
Have we contacted them? Maybe get Derek to help us.
We're trying to get all that up out of the way, so it's not you know, it just doesn't look very nice.
We'll have the ultimate sign off on that, say the project's completed.
Yes,
Hey, give Derek the hammer there.
that probably was gonna take.
Well, yeah, Frontier is difficult. We've dealt with them in the past.
Yes.
We're not a high priority to them for some reason, even though we're the city.
Anybody else?
Not we, but
Which we're going to, the next item there is, the Spire Tech, and I think we're gonna talk about that in the next agenda item. Along the marina. We're gonna get that Estes boat probably out next week.
I'm sorry,
That Estes boat that sank, we're gonna probably get it out next week.
okay?
Abandoned boat, of course, is still there, and I'm gonna end up moving both of those to the Refuge Harbor and dragging them out and probably crushing them. Horizon Environmental has been there 18 times, actually 19, they were there this morning, so,
They have discovered pellets again there. You know that. Do you know that?
oh yeah.
What there appears to be old pellets rather than new pellets. It appears to be. I mean, that was reported back to their management. And they don't have a solution. They don't like this any more than we do.
I think what happens is high tides, you know, we kind of have storm tide here when it.
Yeah.
Went in down south, I think that's a lot of this is coming from.
They're still really occupied with Cox's Creek right now, until they get that kind of totally under control, then they'll probably move over on our side and
Yes, sir.
start worrying about things over here.
And then the dredge pools, Smith Harbor. I just about decided that we probably. I'm thinking I might just get a tractor up there. Try to clean up some of the brush that's coming up on it, some fire, whatever.
Sure.
Leave it alone.
Who's cheering?
I think we just leave it alone because probably in the next 12 months, we're gonna be moving. Most of these things is spending a bunch.
Spending money in the contractors are gonna do.
You know, and it's.
I don't think so.
It's kinda. You're not gonna be able to clean it up around it, it's too close to the edges all the way around, as far as the water on one side and marsh on the opposite side. Harbor Refuge, of course, it's LCI, they're still bringing. You know, Encore dredging is. Pretty much out of that. Property, they have one track code, one marsh track code that's still there. If they gotta move and they have a crane, they gotta move, they're gonna move it over to track. Was that track 3 or track 4 always? Did they have leased it? 3, okay. So they're gonna move it. There's cleaning up, there's some cleanup that needs to take place. And he's aware of all that, so. That ought to be done real soon. Of course, we talked about the railroad crossing, public crossing. One of the things that's kind of interesting, I'm on vacation here a few weeks ago. I got a phone call from Jason Sweatman with Simplot. And they're showing interest in property at the refuge. Talked to him, I called him back last week and he was on vacation. So I said, whenever we get back, just give me a call, we'll ride around and see. You know, I'll let you know what's available. So, we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure why. Maybe they're having problems. Hawkins falling over in Point Comfort. I don't know.
They're growing,
Yeah,
they're
so
growing.
Simplot is an up and coming, oh, they're a successful company, but they're continuing to grow. They would come in and replace Helena in a minute if given the opportunity.
There you go.
Yes.
If they want to take their ball and go home, Simplot.
Well, it's better to have 2 balls out there.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's it. But there's an opportunity
Yeah.
for us to expand the growth
Yeah.
at the Harbor of Refuge. There are people lined up. We need to continue to keep an eye on it and cultivate it.
of course, the dredge pipe, still dealing with that. I talked to Mark with Encore last week, and they were gonna purchase it, or they were gonna try to sell it to Encore. But, you know, Encore will take it. It's not something that, it's really the wrong size, but its price is right there. I had a phone call back into, see what his name was. Evans McLeod. He was an attorney for Munson. That actually owns that pipe. And I was gonna let him know, hey, you're gonna start having to start paying, you're gonna start paying. Having to sit.
Is it all out of the water?
No, it's drug up on the shoreline.
Well, that's what I mean. It's not in the water anymore.
No. Bonnie Ford did drag it up and
Okay.
set anchors. And so it's not all drifting out in the middle of the water. But of course, you know, they got one little area right there in the corner that they can use, that Encore can use, you know, right in that corner there. So, I mean, it is kind of hindering their
Is that
operation.
whole shoreline blocked because of the pipe?
Yeah, almost 1,000 feet shoreline.
We discussed last time sending a demand letter to whoever owned that pipe. Was that done or is it going to be done?
Well, that's what we're working. Well, that's gonna depend on how this thing plays out. I'm gonna, and I told Mr. McLeod when I talked to him here several weeks back, I said, look, I said, y'all gotta start paying for this. I mean, this has been there for well over a year, and I said, it's occupying almost 1,000 foot shore. And so, I said, I got a guy that they may purchase it, and I kind of put him and Mark together. And Mark's not real excited about it, you know, unless the price is just really right.
I think we should start every foot.
Well, that's it. We need to send that demand letter. That'll get him closer to Mark, or he'll get closer to being gone, and we'll start getting some revenue out of that, because they're obstructing that shoreline now for what, a year and a half? And quote unquote free rent? No,
Said we are gonna do that last time.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, last time we were gonna send them a bill.
See, it's not like we have an address to send. I mean, you know, it's,
I mean, let me tell you what, we've got. Oh, gosh.
Let's run it to ground and get them a demand letter saying, hey, to date, you owe X amount of dollars, whatever y'all are comfortable with.
Yes, you can back charge them. They're blocking that waterway.
I've been there for over a year.
Here. Yes.
Figure it out what? I mean, it's not a barge. I mean,
What do you charge for linear foot of dock space?
Going to
That's a monthly charge.
$200 a month.
Plus 30.
I think we'd be better off over 300 foot. You know,
Not the barge.
per day.
Hey.
Yeah, that's per day.
Do that.
But it needs to get done.
Send them the bill. That way.
You got at least, sounds like you got at least 2 barges worth.
At least.
Well, you send them the bill, they'll abandon the property and then you just sell it to Mark.
There you go.
Give it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the problem is these people don't call, it'll just be different.
Then just,
Anybody that's anybody that's associated with that.
Yeah.
Situation.
turn it over to a
Everybody's hiding.
yellow dog lawyer and we'd be in business.
Yep. Are you done with your agenda items?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, well, we got the aerial spraying. Of course, we're not gonna do anything with that until we get.
And you were at the Nautical Landings Marina a moment ago.
Right.
And I think Raymond had wanted to bring up an
Yeah.
item.
I got contacted by a lady who went down to Nautical Landings Marina. I think maybe y'all know her, won't mention her name, but kind of complaining about the sunk boat and how the delinquent residents that we had there. And there seems to be maybe an issue of stray currents in the water down there from maybe one of the boats or all the boats, but it's doing a number on anodes down there, I guess. At any rate, I was wondering, and the liveaboards were also brought up as an issue. And I'm wondering, sounds like we got the abandoned boat deal finished. We still have the delinquent fees that are due, and you're proceeding with that, I guess, Jimbo, or recovering those or addressing the delinquent fees that are still outstanding. But one thing that I think we should probably give some thought to is those people who are liveaboards. That the problems that they bring along with living down there on the boat. And you know, running 110 on a boat, if it's not done properly, that can cause stray currents and erosion issues. But I'm wondering, Jimbo, I'd like to hear from you on what your thoughts are on the liveaboards, and
Well,
are we resolved?
I'll be honest with you, I've mentioned it before, and every time we've had a problem, it's been with these people. Said before, I think we ought to just eliminate most of these marinas have. Matagorda, I think they live board in Palacios, no little boards in Rockport. Very minimal little boards in Corpus, you have to get on a list, you know, they do all these background checks and things of this nature. I mean, they're pretty big. You get that in to live, you know, live in their marina in Corpus Christi, so.
At the present time, then, we're the only liveaboards between Corpus and Sargent or Galveston?
I think Palacios, yes. I can't believe that.
Discussed the liveaboards the other day, and I think Robert was talking about it. And your recommendation is that we do away with the liveaboards. What are we gonna do to people that are living aboard now?
But we don't have a one there anymore.
We grandfather this one individual?
He does watch, yes, I think we should, I mean, he does watch out. If something comes with boat, comes loose or whatever, you know, he's pretty good about going around. Thank you.
Discussed these liveaboards a couple of times in the past. I'd like to hear from individually each of the commissioners. What are your thoughts on it? Larry?
I think whatever Jim thinks, if he thinks we grandfather this one and say no more, I'm okay with that.
Sue?
And two, did we ever solve the problem with the people who didn't have insurance with their boat?
I think they finally moved on. I think they're living in a RV.
I mean, they got all that got straightened out and they were compliant, and then they had problems with the boat. And so they pulled the boat out and they're not down there. And they're paid through the end of the month. So I don't know, we don't know if they're planning on trying to, you know, come back if the boat's got fixed. I don't.
And I agree, whatever Jim recommends.
Robert?
I totally agree. I think it's too much of a liability. We're not in the hospitality business. So I agree with Jim.
I would even question I might give this guy year by year by year, but not permanent.
No, I
Just say, hey, you know, we'll give you 6 months or a year and then we will look at it.
Well, it's per his lease. So I would think that would be what we would uphold. Is there a mechanism within our lease as for them to vacate, whether immediately or in 30 days?
so.
Is that Ms. Rachel?
I think so, yes.
Well, then why don't I get a recommendation that we can submit to council? Why don't we get a recommendation we can submit to council to eliminate the liveaboards? And that should eliminate some of our problems.
Just didn't work.
Yeah, I think it's a good recommendation.
A recommendation to no longer have liveaboards.
I'd second that. If he made the motion, I'll second it.
Robert made the motion. And Larry seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we have a recommendation present to council that we eliminate the liveaboard option. Of course, you're gonna have weekenders and people come in and out, which is what it's for. But we're gonna eliminate the liveaboard clause in our lease. All right. That gets you.
Yes, thank you. And I don't have anything. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring the to-do list,
Well,
but I've got some more items.
oh,
The crane
Yes.
will be gone Monday. Yeah, on track 3. They in the crane place here in town, Maxon, they're gonna go down and break the crane down. They're moving it to Rio Hondo or something. It got sold, so it'll be gone.
Not the one over by the boat launch.
Yes.
Oh, that's it.
That big red. See, Encore was gonna purchase it, and I don't know what happened, they decided.
Good.
Rio Hondo gets the benefit. All right, let's move on to agenda item number 7, discuss new leases for.
Can we move back just one thing? I'm sorry, I had to interrupt. Can we move back to agenda item E5, that dredge pipe west shoreline thing? Man, I think we just keep kicking this thing down the road. Could we make a recommendation that council turns that issue over to Anne Marie?
Or somebody who's experiencing.
That, you know, she's the legal representation, and go ahead, she can, in her capacity, go ahead and file the proper legal notices, because that's a lot of money we're leaving on the table, and that's what we have them on retainer.
Well, then if we're gonna do that, then we need to settle on an amount.
Okay.
And what we're going back rent and how serious, I mean.
I know in every meeting I've attended, this is my third, it's been on every one. We've discussed it now. This is the third time. You know, so that's what, 90 days?
You want a motion?
Well, Jim recommended the over 300-foot day rate or monthly
That's 3
rate.
of them. There's 3 lengths there,
Mhm.
over 300 feet. That's expensive as a dickens.
Yeah.
So therefore it'll get their attention.
Yes, so let's apply that rate
So
and go back.
Well, like I said, we will definitely confer with Anne Marie before doing it.
Yeah.
Make sure, because again, remember, we just approved the new rate, so then we have something that says a rate over 200 feet. Or 300 feet, but prior to that, it was just a bar, so we have a little less ammunition, so to speak.
It gets a little complicated though, because it was in bankruptcy and there were different owners in the process. I don't know how long they've had ownership of that pipe. So we can't, I keep throwing the number out a year. It's been there for a year, but the clear ownership couldn't be more than about 2 or 3 months old, because the bankruptcy wasn't completed until,
Well, I think it still belongs the same part of that.
well,
I mean, and even
y'all do the necessary work. What we're needing is a recommendation.
Okay, well, if they're in chapter 11, then the city needs to file a proof of claim.
yeah, but all that's done.
That's all.
Done?
Nothing, the only thing, we're still dealing with, some stuff with. Nothing had to do with this track.
Is the goal for us to get it out of there or the?
Yes.
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 So if we give them 30 days to get it out. And
It's
then,
fine, I mean,
or
look,
pay us
we
money.
don't know for sure who it is.
Yes.
You pay us $500,000 or get it out in 30 days. Is that what you're saying?
I've got access to Pacer, so if it was sold by the trustee, I can find out who the trustee sold it to, because that.
People's representation on this whole deal.
Yes.
Okay.
That's telling that.
Well, let's not do that.
So does.
Let's not do this to like we did the railroad crossing. Turn a little project into a monumental something. What we want is that pipe gone.
Yeah.
So let's not start going all these rabbit trails and getting lost.
That's what we're trying to do.
Let's send the bill.
Yeah.
Let's start. And for the bill for the next year.
You know,
Yes.
see, okay,
Do you need a motion on that, Mr. Chairman?
You know, my cloud gap's floating, but you know, like I say.
see, that's why he's still working on
He's
trying to
very
identify who
difficult,
the
you know.
players are. You know, I mean, I can send a bill, it's not, it's piece of paper, we gotta.
Y'all need to get more proactive.
Right.
It's not their money.
You gotta contact. Send them a demand letter. And,
We gotta know who to send it to.
well, who's he talking to?
Talking good.
The cloud. Okay.
I mean, it seems.
Get Anne Marie to bless what you're about to do.
Wait, let me do something. I'm going to ask Robert and Jim Rudelot to get together on this and run it to ground so that we can move forward to Ms. Anne Marie and
That's
send a demand letter.
Well, we don't need to tell them this is the one's been involved in all this stuff.
Yes.
So we don't need to change lawyers. We
Retrailing,
don't need
yes.
to change lawyers midstream.
We're not changing lawyers. We're gonna let Robert and Jim run this to ground and then we'll move it forward. And I leave it to you to be the lead dog on this, Robert. Because it seems to be bothering you and it's bothering me.
Well, it's just, we keep kicking it down the road and it's, yeah, and it's something I think is really simple. You send the demand letter saying, move your stuff.
Yeah.
Or we'll take possession of it in 30 days and we'll, you'll whatever costs we incur, we'll put a lien on the property.
That was what I was trying to say, because I don't want to convolute this like we did the railroad track.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Move on to agenda item 7. Discuss new lease agreement with Spiretech International presented by Jody.
Spiretech's lease is up on October 31st, and they haven't requested a new lease. Current lease requires for present MCI adjustment with a 2% minimum, 5% maximum increase on October 1st. That will bring their rent payment at $1,904.50 using the 2% minimum, as the MCI has been well under 1%. The attached spreadsheet provides the current nautical landings office building leases, showing our internal calculations of how much total the amount collected is figured. Now, as a side note, Edward Jones's lease does break this out in the lease document, but the others just pay a lump sum amount, which includes utilities. Suite 2 is 1,440 square feet. Spiretech is currently, the space is leasing for rent of $1.21 per square foot plus utilities, for an overall rental rate of $1.37. On October 1st, this overall amount will increase by 2%. In considering a proposed rate for a new lease, reached out to Russell Kane and learned that current prevailing rental rates are about $1.25 per square foot plus utilities. So with this in mind, I'm offering the following proposal. The per square foot rate for rent is established at $1.25 per square foot, which is a 3.8% increase. We charge $15 extra for use of the public restroom. We have been charging $25 for both the restroom and the break room, but Spiretech has their own break room within their rented space. So the $15 will account for the public restrooms. The electric cost is increased by 18.01% to reflect the increased kilowatt hour cost from JEXA. That would be $236.20 a month. And the utilities will increase by 40.69% due to the increase in water, sewer, trash over the past year. So that would go up to $28.14. The end result is as shown in the attached spreadsheet, an overall rent of $2,080 per month. This is a 5.7% increase above the overall rent established from November 1st of 2022. $64.34 of this additional monthly rent is due solely to increase in utility costs. That's
one thing we've left out, Jody, is the $600 a month we're paying for janitorial services, which is 10 cents a square foot per month, which should be added in.
okay.
Well, it's at least $600 a month. I don't, maybe including materials, they're gonna be $800 a month,
Do
but
we provide Spiretech general
we clean the whole space. We clean the
services, or is it, I didn't think. They take care of their own space.
we clean the whole deal.
Well, they do bathroom, space, stuff like that.
It's services that are going to the building of about 10 cents a square foot per month, maybe a little more, but anyway, we ought to add that in.
So add what?
Janitorial services, whatever it is, it's $600 a month that we're paying the person plus $200 a month for materials. So 800, that's about 12.5 cents a square.
$1.35 a foot rather than $1.25.
10, 12 cents a square foot per month. Something like whatever that number is.
Right.
And that way, that way we.
In lieu of the $15, well, I guess, because I mean, $15 for use of public restrooms. So that would, that would keep those clean and the water associated with it. So on top of that.
So on top of janitorial, so we're paying it.
Whatever you're charging the other tenants for janitorial service.
Well, they're not charging them.
They're charging them, man.
We're paying it, we're taking out the overhead.
Right now, we're charging $25 to account for public areas, basically.
We're not charging for janitorial service, period.
No.
No, because in lieu of that, I mean, I've got $15 or $25, sorry, in there for public restrooms and the break room,
Yeah, this is,
public areas.
this is $800 a month, that's roughly. And then with the $25 is meaningless in terms of that. So, you know, I just add the janitorial services on top of it.
But does that, okay, I mean, I would,
And what's that? So it's,
But you can't do that. You can't,
12 cents
you can't do that for one person and not do it for somebody.
whenever the lease comes up.
Yeah, but
and
that,
it's just how we calculate it, but
Everybody gets a new lease, whenever a new lease comes up, we always change.
per.
Leases are on
yeah,
standby.
per square foot, so I'm gonna take that whole thing and whatever square foot. They're whatever square footage of area that they're cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, if we're paying it out of pocket, the city is paying $800 a month, roughly, for janitorial service.
Again, the day room, those janitorial services should be charged by the marina, not the tenants. But yes, the areas that are, the public areas, so. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
I'm a little uncomfortable charging both. Charging it, because it's somewhat of an arbitrary number. And this, again, it's not in their lease, it's just how I've been calculating, I've been setting aside.
Forget the 15 and go back to 25.
no, forget both. I mean, do these, the 11 cents or 12 cents a square foot like it's supposed to be. And that way we'll get back to our costs.
Wait, say that again?
Just take out the 15 and 25 and put in the cost per square foot, just divided by the 6,000 square foot or 6,200, whatever it is.
Okay, then I need, but I do need to add a little bit more water.
All I'm trying to do is get the janitorial service. Anything else you want to add?
Okay.
You know, I'm glad I don't have this coming out of my pocket. I'll pump it up and down.
So we say we're gonna delay the public restroom.
Yeah, I mean, I will, yeah, let me.
You've got it, Jody. You know what the sentiments.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll work those details out. As far as the overall, is that in the range? Does that look okay? I mean, we haven't even brought this back to Spire Tech thing. I mean, I wanted.
The only thing in keeping with Mike's theme is, how many times a month or a year do we have to call Rick out? You're talking about bathroom services. Talking Rick Lewis.
Well, we do have a problem, there's a problem with the building currently, there's a real bad sewer smell. And we've already worked on it once, thought we had it, well, they worked on it once and thought they had it corrected. And it's back. They found a vent broke in the wall. That's kind of down there around that area that he keeps all his equipment in, you know, that little closet thing area. They thought they found it, they did the smoke test, they fixed that, still have a problem.
I bring that up because we're always trying to reduce the rates and play nice with the tenants as we continue to add expenses and cost to our operation. That's the reason I bring it up.
I'm just pointing out that all I was looking at is what the rates were $1.25 plus utilities, not plus janitorial plus me. All that was included in the $1.25, but we can. I mean, that's right.
But it's a cost that we have, that's for the benefit of the tenants that we pay, so it needs to go in the lease.
On top of that, but that's in addition to the prevailing.
Whatever it is, I mean, it's just, you know, I've never leased space, I didn't pay the janitorial, I guarantee you that. And I have 15,000 square feet that I'm personally leasing right now. I charge the janitorial right back to the tenant every month. In addition to electricity and everything else. So.
Just bringing the rental rates to our service and utility cost. That's all I was bringing up.
Okay, I will, yeah, because I mean, we're showing we're getting water and sewer, but I'll do the same thing.
Slowly catching up with ourselves.
Okay. But if that's generally in the ballpark, then.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll get that to Spire Tech next meeting.
The only other thing is that I do not agree with Russell's estimate because we're sitting on the water base that's worth at least 50% more. If I was leasing it, that's what it would be too.
Once we get Mont McDonald's plan completed, yeah. Let's go on, agenda item number 8, comments from the commissioners. We'll start with you, Mr. Nichols.
In school construction, 2008, JR was $125 square foot. That was hard to deal with, a lot of money. Travis Middle School, 10 years later, 234 square foot, and the contractor was from El Paso. That was the closest contractor we could get to do the job at best bid. And so to me, and the FEMA Dome started out at 4.5 million, it's 9 million now.
Yeah.
And we got it approved, but for 4.5, so it's 9 million. So the cost of construction ain't gonna go down. We can delay this project for another 6 months trying to get it for free, and it will not go down much. And so to me, I'm advocating, let's do our due diligence, and then the council isn't asking us to pay for it all. So let's get this railroad done.
Ms. Sue?
Enough words have been said. I have no comment.
I forgot. When we started out this meeting, I was talking about approaching Helen to finance or share costs.
That's been done by the council.
Well, were we talking about the railroad then or something else?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, that was.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Anyway, that's all I have. I'm good. I hope we can do that. Just talk to them.
Well, that's Alan and Jody are got the responsibility of getting the council.
Yes, I reached.
Got it down on my to-do list.
They told, we didn't have a number until we bid the project.
Hey, that's okay.
It ain't good to have them commit to something based upon a $300,000 bid. When it-
I don't have to worry about it, just write the check.
So yes, we got all that going. They had to have an internal meeting, which they told me last week, they were trying to get it set up for early this week. So I'm guessing that maybe even today. As soon as they have a conversation, and they will be back to me, and that's when we can start coming back.
Let them know Simplot is ready, if they're not.
Yeah.
Robert, Mr. Knox,
Nothing for me today.
again, you've got an assignment there with, Mr. Rudelot.
Take all
You've
my
been
words,
very
I'll take
vocal.
all my words back. Therefore, I said
You've
nothing.
been very vocal today, Michael.
That's right. I tend to be mocha.
What have you got to add?
Well, yesterday I was 85, so therefore,
Oh, wow.
getting old.
Well, I'm right behind
Congratulations, you made it.
I made it. I made it.
Okay.
I celebrated.
Inspiration you are. Wow.
I'm celebrating all month, so I can get everybody in.
Inspiration. That's a good word for it.
Yes.
Anyway, that's it.
And again, I've been like Michael today. I've been very boisterous, so no more comments. I'll entertain a motion to
Move.
Second.
motion from Jern and Michael seconded it. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? No nays, motion carries. We didn't even make 12.